like acknowledge that it is tough. It is a tough journey, and you're going to have days where you don't feel like it, and you're going to be damn days when you completely thrive. And
sometimes those days will be back to back.
Exactly. Really are.
Feeling kind of roller coaster.
Really are. But I think push through and like really focus on like where you want to be in 10 years time, right?
Yeah.
And the impact you want to make.
Yeah.
It is going to be worth it. The people you're going to work with are going to be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fulfilling role, even if it's kind of in a non-traditional space.
Yes. Which increasingly actuaries are playing in.
Exactly. And I think maybe three things. So that's the first. I think the second is just to really be authentic.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Don't try be what you believe the typical actuary is.
Yeah.
Kind of be.
This is not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Be authentic. Like be an actuary. Be your own version of an actuary.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important. And then the last is just enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's a real privilege to kind of be part of the profession.
It is. It is.
And it's an excellent springboard for kind of any career.
Yeah.
And give back. I think it's an amazing
I mean
journey.
that's an interesting thing to note, because I think, once you qualify, I think sometimes you're so relieved that you're just like, okay, now I'm just going to continue. But there is a cohort of people that are coming after you, and I think there's a lot to be said to give back and to mentor, and I'm sure you do that a lot in your job with the young actuaries that are working under you.
And I think there's a misconception that once you qualify, like it gets easier and the workload is less. If anything, you can get more responsibility.
Exactly.
It levels up. From there.
Very much so.
So really don't see that as the destination.
Yes.
Like just continue learning.
It's almost like a doorway more than anything else, and just enter a much bigger room.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, with a lot more furniture to navigate around and etc.
Yeah, and then I think, sorry, I'm just going on to my friends now. I'm just taking all this advice. I just listen to
nice. Wonderful. Keep going.
No, and I think just for actuaries to know that you've got a seat at the table, you've got a voice wherever you end up landing. Like, you deserve to be there.
Yeah.
And it's a place where you can like make an impact and have an influence.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you don't deserve to be there.
Yeah, I think one of the most powerful things someone said to me when I was sort of attempting my fellowship, and I was getting a little bit despondent because I was like, so much studying and you're working and whatever, and I only passed my second time. And they said to me, since they had qualified, there was never a day that they regretted qualifying. They never regretted becoming an actuary. And I thought that was really insightful, because then once I qualified, I have never regretted becoming an actuary. And I always say that to my students, when they're kind of like down in the dumps, they're in one of those days.
Yeah.
I'm like, you never regret it.
No.
You never regret it, because as you say, when you walk in and you say you're an actuary, there's a level of respect that's attributed to you because of the numerous hurdles you had to overcome to actually gain that accreditation.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're over to, I guess, everyone that's come before us.
Very much so.
Establishing the reputation of the profession.
And keeping that robustness.
Exactly. In my corporate role, we always spoke about actuarial integrity.
Love that.
We don't just fight for policy or for shareholder.
Yeah.
We fight for policyholder as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what an actuary has the privilege to do.
Yeah, and I think, it's difficult to see that or have that perspective when you are doing like second year stats, when you're like transforming a distribution, you're like, who was this helping? So I think that perspective, I think, is really helpful.
Definitely.
But thank you so much for your time.
It's a big pleasure. Thank you for having me.
No, not at all. I think it's been really, really helpful, and I hope that our listeners gain some insight from it. And to our listeners, thank you for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave a review on your preferred streaming platform. If you'd like to interact with us more or add questions or topics to our pool of ideas, please follow our Instagram page at AsForActuary or email us on asforactuary@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Take care.